Concerned student 1950 is protesting again over how MU has handled diversity and race issues on campus. The group marched across campus today claiming new efforts are not working. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Landon Burke. Vice Chancellor for Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Chuck Henson created the working group almost a month ago. KOMU 8's Jake Shinero was on MU's campus today and has more on why concerned student 1950 is not happy after weeks of discussions.
Months after protests over racial inequality, a hunger strike, and both the MU Chancellor and UM System President stepping down, concerned student 1950 is protesting again. They say everything they worked to make known in November is still unresolved.
Back up, we want freedom, freedom. All these races on campus, we don't need them.
Protesters say they're not satisfied with efforts to make progress throughout the UM system, and they will refuse to work with the working group from now on.
So we gotta dismantle it. We not gonna work with them. No more.
Today's protest drew attention from director Spike Lee, who was here filming. But absent was Jonathan Butler, the protester who went on a hunger strike last fall. He said today he separated from the group in November, and he tried to distance himself further from the protests today in a series of tweets. He said, "In light of some information I received about what will be happening on campus today, I would like to clear some things up. I am no longer with the group Concerned Student 1950. I have not organized with them since November 2015. For several reasons, I have chosen to withdraw myself from the group and pursue other forms of activism."
If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down.
Jake Shinero, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
The group showed up at Interim Chancellor Hank Foley's office to talk to him, but no one answered the door.
Henson responded to today's protest around 4:30 this afternoon when the university released a video. In it, Henson says the protests on campus today were unfair.
Everybody who comes to the working group needs to come with an attitude of patience and extended grace to the process and to each other, because we're dealing with issues that took more than 100 years to develop here and are certainly going to take more than 100 days and 3 meetings to address.
You can watch Henson's full response on our website, KOMU.com.
We have an update on former MU Associate Professor Melissa Click. The American Association of University Professors announced late this afternoon it will launch an investigation into the curator's decision to fire Click last month. Association leadership met today to discuss their next move. They will send staff to MU to look into the case.
A Columbia City bus hit and killed a Truman VA hospital employee walking near Stadium Boulevard this morning. The Columbia Police Department says the driver, 22-year-old Hamis Mukiwa, was a part-time city employee and is at fault after failing to yield while driving through the crosswalk. The victim is 66-year-old David C. Birkenbach. Police determined drugs and alcohol were not a factor. The driver is now on unpaid leave. City Manager Mike Mathis issued a statement about the crash. He said, quote, "On behalf of the City of Columbia, we wish to express our heartfelt condolences to the family of the individual. We're working with the agencies investigating this tragic event. Video from the bus camera is being turned over to the Columbia Police Department to help with the investigation."
Here's what's happening right now. Right now, the Columbia City Council is talking about granting more money to trail projects set to start in the year 2016. KOMU 8's Laura Barczewski is live outside City Hall with the latest from the council meeting.
The council is set to decide whether or not to transfer $3.5 million from the federal grant fund to the trail projects that are proposed. There are 5 projects, including the MKT Parkade Trail and the Hominy Trail Phase 2. Steve Sapp from Public Works says money is needed because the trail projects didn't start right away and the cost of labor and materials has gone up over time. I talked to some avid trail users today who explained why trails are important to the community.
Well, trails are certainly a very good thing. They promote exercise and walking to campus, walking to work, walking to downtown, and in general just using fewer cars and walking is a good thing for everyone, I believe.
The City Council has not made a decision yet, and I'll have an update for you at 10. Reporting live from Columbia, Laura Barczewski, KOMU 8 News.
A fire destroyed buildings and killed horses in New Bloomfield earlier today. KOMU 8's Taylor Stevens is in the newsroom to tell us how much damage the flames did.
The fire started out small, neighbors said, but they also heard what sounded like an explosion before flames spread quickly to surrounding buildings. The fire on Fairview Farm started around 1 in the afternoon, and more than a dozen nearby cities and counties sent units in response. Firefighters had most of the flames extinguished within 4 hours.
At the time when I first saw it, there were just flames coming out of one corner of the building. But then something exploded inside, which made it get much bigger. So I have no idea what it could have been.
The Holt Summit Fire Protection District confirmed 3 buildings are a total loss and no employee or resident was harmed. KOMU 8 News will keep you updated once officials know what caused the fire.
Thank you, Taylor. An attempted robbery gone wrong led to a fire today in Fulton. Authorities responded to a grass fire in the Mark Twain National Forest this morning. Someone allegedly tried to break into a shed and then left the scene. So far, there are no arrests.
The City of Columbia held a meeting today to discuss a state grant for the Domestic Violence Enforcement Unit. The Violence Against Women Act provided about $158,000 from the Missouri Department of Public Safety to pay for the program. The DOV unit coordinates community response from the Columbia Police Department, Probation and Parole, the Family Counseling Center, and True North Domestic Violence Shelter.
They all have specializations in working specifically with domestic violence cases. So they bring all of their expertise together to make sure that everyone in the community is working together to address this serious issue.
The grant renewal would pay for a portion of the DOV unit officer salaries and to hire a temporary part-time staff member to help with administrative duties of the unit. Today, the Missouri Health Facilities Review Committee denied an application to build a new psychiatric hospital in Columbia. Texas-based Oceans Healthcare filed a Certificate of Need application in December to build the 60-bed behavioral health center. The committee voted the proposal down 5-2. The proposed site is located at the intersection of Chinaberry Drive and Old 63. The committee is reviewing another psychiatric hospital application. St. Charles-based Centerpoint Hospital wants to build a $22 million 75-bed center in North Columbia. If approved, the hospital would be located at the northeast corner of Rangeline Street and International Drive.
A bill proposed to the Missouri House of Representatives would establish a task force on school security. The task force would have to study school security features and practices. Ideally, the sponsor says chances of a crisis happening or people dying would go down as a result. One lobbyist says the task force would be important to do good by parents, students, and school employees.
I think this task force would be able to address these issues, give recommendations, and then policies for the districts to abide by.
No one at the hearing was in opposition of the bill.
It was nice and warm out there. Felt a little like spring today, but it was pretty cloudy. Let's check in with Kenton to see what we can expect tonight.
Brittany, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Certainly feeling like spring, and it is right around the corner, only a couple weeks away, actually, until the official beginning of spring. But right now, satellite and radar is showing a lot of clouds out there, even just a little bit of light sprinkles rolling in from the southwest. Otherwise, temperatures very warm. 66 in Columbia, 67 in Jefferson City. Hard to believe it's 9 o'clock at night at the beginning of March. 16-mile-an-hour winds from the south right now in Columbia. And as you can see, hour by hour, not cooling down much. Still at 60 after midnight, and we're only getting down into the upper 50s by sunrise, and we are going to have some showers, even a thunderstorm possible tomorrow afternoon. But even more rain is expected later this week. I'm tracking it all hour by hour after the break.
Also after the break, how people visiting the nation's capital are remembering former First Lady Nancy Reagan today. Plus, what the jury decided in sportscaster Aaron Andrews' case. Stay tuned.